Hey everybody, my name's Dave. Welcome to Party Political Puffin.
1, 2, 3.
By now, I think we're all familiar with the Trump administration's efforts to shut down US media. But just in case you're not, take a look.
I want you all to know that we are fighting the fake news. It's fake, phony, fake. In perfect shape, that was just fake news by NBC, which gives a lot of fake news lately. You know, I said, this is a very big arena. For a Tuesday night, I said, you know, if we have about 3 or 4 empty seats, the fake news will say headlines. He didn't fill up the arena. You know, oh, I don't know what I said. I don't remember.
It doesn't matter which type of media, whether it be print, TV, radio, or digital, if nice things aren't said about the White House, but Trump in particular, then you can expect their ire.
But the president denies it. And in the wake of that report, Mr. Trump questioned whether FCC licenses should be taken from NBC television stations, only NBC now.
However, the most wide-ranging effort to control the message has been the abolition, or virtual abolition, of the White House press room briefing. The press room briefing used to allow the press pool the opportunity, on behalf of the American people, to hold the incumbent administration accountable right there and then for any and all actions. On Tuesday, The Guardian reported that Boris Johnson was undermining press freedoms after a number of reporters were banned from a government briefing on the EU. Prior to a briefing to be given on the deal between the United Kingdom and the EU on a future trade deal, to be given by David Frost, the former lead negotiator on Brexit for the British government, the senior journalists were split into 2 groups. The 2 groups were split along the lines of those that Johnson and his advisors saw as acceptable and those that they didn't. The non-acceptable group, of course, was the group that was denied access to the briefing. The not acceptable group contained, amongst others, the Daily Mirror, the Independent, the Evening Standard, and HuffPost UK. It should be noted that, to the credit of those news outlets that were to be allowed into the briefing, the BBC, ITV, Guardian, amongst others, they all refused to continue on to the briefing and all left in protest. Such was the concern over this blatant attempt to manipulate and control the free press, that the incident was debated in the House of Commons. This was after an urgent question was granted to the Labour MP Tracy Brabin, who is also the Shadow Culture Secretary. Chloe Smith, a Cabinet Office Minister, attempted to defend the government. However, this only served to draw laughter from those assembled in the House.
Mr. Speaker, for your direction there and for the opportunity to clarify this situation. This government, Mr. Speaker, is committed to being open in its dealings with the press and to the principles of media freedom, and the events of yesterday were a very good example of this. The Prime Minister delivered a speech. It is entirely standard practice for the government to host additional technical specialist briefings, as was the case yesterday. Mr. Speaker, I'm delighted that there are so many honourable and right honourable members here today who would also like to improve their understanding of such things.
The government's behaviour in these matters threatens the civil service core values of impartiality and objectivity. It also brings into question the integrity of future government media briefings and the conduct of its special advisers, and damages a free and vibrant press, which is central to this parliamentary democracy.
Can I just say to the Honourable Lady, that is woeful and desperate. It would make Comical Ali look like a Pulitzer Prize winner in what she said. Yesterday was a black day for press freedom, and no amount of sleek, self-justifying nonsense from the Honourable Lady is going to get her off the Trumpian hook. The next thing, the Prime Minister will be talking about fake news and banning broadcasters. Oh wait, he already has. But we all know that the Prime Minister looks like a prize buffoon under hard question he does not like. Isn't that the real reason that we have this particular agenda, Minister?
Yeah. Laughing aside, this is a strategy that's clearly not unique to Trump and the US, and should be of great concern to anybody who wishes to live in a democratic society that has access to the truth instead of whatever the government of the day's line might be, with a free press that can hold our elected officials accountable and hold them accountable in real time. Arguably, this has been seen as some sort of testing phase by other supposed democratic governments around the world, just to see how far can you push this? How many norms, or rights for that matter, can you roll back? This seems to have been a sort of training exercise, almost like they're training wheels for an authoritarian. I certainly don't think that Boris Johnson needs any help to get to this position. He, having been a journalist, clearly knows how the system works and clearly how you can corrupt that system. However, as I say, I don't think he needs any help, but lucky for him, unfortunately not so lucky for the rest of us who actually want a transparent government, he's got Lee Cain as his senior comms advisor, an ex-Mirror man, and Dominic Cummings, who has no love whatsoever for the press. It might not be apparent to viewers of this video outside of the UK, but there is currently a battle going on with the BBC, which I'm sure most people would be aware of. The BBC is a free broadcaster, effectively. What the closest, I guess, you have in the States would be public service broadcasting. Essentially, we pay a license fee, and we get television, radio, web. You can imagine it's pretty awesome, for want of a better word. In fact, there is no better word. It's awesome. But of course, if that doesn't suit the government of the day, and it doesn't suit this government of the day, then Dominic Cummings will do everything he can to take the legs out from under what is a wonderful service and a wonderful institution that attempts to bring neutral reporting to all the situations that it does report on. And I sort of equivocate around the word neutral. I think that there's sometimes a mistake made. People talk about balance. Balance to me is not journalism. You know, if you have a clearly wicked person carrying out clearly wicked acts, do you really want to report on that and then provide balance? You know, find his mum and get his mum on, you know, on audio or on video saying, oh, but he was such a lovely boy. Sometimes the truth is what we need. And this is going to be a battle that goes on for some time. To those of you who are watching this and are in the UK, I would beseech you, pick up the phone, phone your MP, and I know that that sometimes seems fruitless. Speak to your local councillors. If that's not good enough, join a political party. Drop me some comments. If this is all new to you, drop me some comments. I'd be more than willing to have a conversation. I don't want to drive or steer anyone in any particular direction, but that's kind of the purpose of this channel. Is, I know it's a cliche, but start a conversation. I'd like personally to start hundreds of conversations with hundreds of people. Anyway, I don't want to editorialise too long. Thanks very much for watching the video. Thank you so much for watching. It really, really is appreciated. I am just blown away that people would watch and listen to, you know, something I've created. So thank you very much for that. As we've spoken about during the course of this video, a free press is worth its weight in gold. It allows our representative government to be held accountable. You and I, we can't do that on a daily basis. Try interacting with your MP. That's a slow process in and of itself, let alone trying to call out lies that could go on to be, you know, to inform policy. That's going to be impossible for the likes of us. So I really want to support a free press. One way of doing that is through this channel. The channel needs to grow, and the only way that will grow is if people like yourself would be good enough to like the video, comment, share it, and perhaps above all subscribe. I want to be doing this full time because I see this as a full-time pursuit. However, that's going to take tangible support. If you could consider visiting my Patreon channel and having a think about whether you could contribute, I'd be enormously grateful. Anyway, thanks very much for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.